topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to Entrepreneurs Ascending. This isn't just a podcast. This is a call to action for all entrepreneurs who are tired of seeing their businesses and communities suffer while big business continues to grow by the billions. We challenge you to apply the content of our time together to create businesses that your clients can't resist, your employees love to work for, and your communities can depend on. Now is the time for Entrepreneurs Ascending. Yes, now is the time for Entrepreneurs Ascending, and welcome today. A lot of people are struggling with finding the right people and really keeping them around. And so we're going to be talking about that today. We're going to be talking about how marketing should be a recruiting function. And the second part is going to be how to reduce conflict between coworkers. Because if it's not a safe environment, it's hard to get people to stick around. So what we're going to just jump right into it. So this whole idea of recruiting versus hiring. Of course, I don't know if you've ever heard of that or if you've ever thought about the difference between a recruiting mindset and a hiring mindset. But a hiring mindset is what I typically see, what I see most job postings obviously trying to fill. Because it's, well, hey, we got a job. We basically need a warm body. Anybody that can swing a hammer or use a drill, that's what we need. Come on down. Right? And it doesn't necessarily really show much foresight, much consideration. It really just kind of shows that unfortunately your company is not very mature in its way of thinking about getting the right type of people. And that's really what more recruiting is about. The recruiting mindset is about, hey, I always should have my eyes open for the right kind of people. And it's about finding the right kind of people, the people who not just have the skill. You know what? Maybe even with the recruiting mindset, they don't even necessarily have all the skills they need to fill a role, but they have the aptitude. They have the drive. They care about your mission. They want to be on mission with you. They also have like maybe the right personality, right? They're going to be a good fit for the organization. They're going to add something to the culture and they're going to be able to work well with the team. So it shows a lot more maturity in how you go about building your team. If you think about it as a recruiting process versus a hiring mindset, right? So, and when we're talking about how this kind of comes into play with marketing, it's also the difference between a job ad versus a job posting. Most of the time, most postings that we see are, hey, this is a list of qualities that we're looking for. Or it's like some sort of celebration. Hey, we're hiring. We're looking for, if you can swing that hammer, right? Like it just gives that list of qualities. And it doesn't really necessarily, again, that maturity in showing that you realize that people have a choice, especially these days. It's the great resignation. People have a choice of where they want to work. And just like people have a choice of who to choose to get whatever product or service you have to offer, people have a choice of where to work. Even if they've got the same skill set, or maybe even if they've been thinking about a career shift, a career change, maybe learning some new skills and doing something new. But there's so many burned people these days, right? Because they've had bad experiences with poor leadership, or they've just they've just learned that, like, it's just easier sometimes to work at Uber and just kind of deliver some things rather than try to work at a job where they don't feel appreciated, or they don't feel like they're getting the personal growth that they want, or at least they feel like they've got that independence. And guess what? I mean, that same freedom that you wanted to have whenever you started your business, people still kind of want some sort of sense of control of their lives. And so we need to be considerate of that. So I'm going to talk today about, like, the marketing and some of the things that you need to do about it. But you also need to think about, as we're talking about this, how does this actually play a role in your current culture, in your current leadership style, in your current employee development programs. So you have to make sure that when they get there, there's good stuff as well. All right. So when we talk about recruiting, it's kind of similar to the same 3 M's of marketing for Dan Kennedy. You got to know the market, message, media. Okay. And your market here is going to be the right kind of people for the job, but it's not just somebody out there who knows how to do the thing. It's the right kind of person who knows how to do the thing, or that might have the aptitude to do the thing, but they're going to be the right fit for your company. So I mean, you have to start developing a better understanding of, like, okay, so if we've got a role, like, who could that be? And then we have to develop the message that's important for them. The message is really about what's going on in their heads and their hearts. Just like when we talk about marketing for customers, what's going on in their heads and their hearts. And what I mean by that is, why would they think to leave somewhere else? What's happening there that's not fulfilling their needs or their desires, their wants, their visions for the future? And how can you let them know that they're going to get that when they come to work for you, right? So we have to make sure that the message shows them, attracts the right kind of people, and shows them, educates them on why you're going to be great. Now, of course, there's additional messaging that you have to think about doing whenever you're actually going through the actual process, which is kind of like a sales process, right? Whenever you actually start having the conversations with folks. And again, if you've got some sort of head trash about sales being a bad thing, let's talk about that for a quick second. Sales is just about helping somebody make a good decision, typically a buying decision, but in this case, would be a good, buy-in decision for working for your company, right? So that's all it is. That good sales is just helping somebody make a good decision, pure and simple. But you're helping them understand why you're great there. And that third M is going to be media. And media basically just means, like, where are their eyes and their ears, right? Where are the people that you want to work for you? Where are they hanging out? I mean, could it be that they're hanging out, of course, on social media? Are they hanging out watching a certain TV show? Because I mean, even Hulu, you can control what ads go, or you can buy ads into Hulu. So even as a small business, you can do that. Um, are they at the local kids games? Would it make sense to put something out there, right? So media is basically like, where are they? All right. So we're going to talk about these steps. Okay. So first of all, think about this. There's an internal versus an external reality. Internally, you think you have a great place to work, think you have an awesome team. You try to pour into them and try to be a better leader than people that you previously worked for. You try to take care of them. You show your appreciation. Maybe you take them out for appreciation events. Maybe you take them out and play some paintball with them, or maybe you take them out to dinner and you have some fun, right? But you put a job posting out there that says, hey, if you have these qualities and you're self-motivated, come work for me. How do they know all this other stuff, right? So many people think that the only things that they should be posting on social media or just jobs that they did, or maybe pictures of the product or something like that. But guess what? Like, even your customers want to know who are the people behind all this, right? And they want to see happy people. They want to know that you're taking care of people, and it's more great content. So guess what? If you can show great content about what's happening internally with your employees, and it goes in the same channel that your client sees, right? The same media that your client sees, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, they want to know that. They want to see it. They love that. So it works for both. But if you don't have any of that, any of that imagery, any of the proof that, hey, maybe this is a great place to work for, how is somebody who's applying supposed to know, right? So so think about that. Think about what if somebody doesn't know anything about your organization and they see a job ad. First of all, the job posting, right? Because maybe you haven't done a job ad yet, right? So they see a job posting. It's pretty like boring and dry, and it's very self-centered around the company. This is why this company, this is why we're great, and this is not necessarily great to work for, but just a great company. Like, oh, because we got this award for this or award for that. That's at least better than some stuff I see, but it's still like so self-centered. It's not really speaking to them. So anyway, they see that and they think, okay, so this company really seems like it's all about them. I don't see anything about how they really care about the employees. Okay, well, you know what? Maybe I'll give it a shot because I'm looking around and I'm going to go to their social media and see. I'm going to go click on their Facebook page and see, do they really care about their employees? And then they get to your Facebook and what do they see? Well, maybe they see a couple before and after pictures. Okay, cool. Looks like they do some good work. That's great. I mean, they've got great reviews. That's cool. But what is it like to work for them? What is it like to work for you? How would they know? How would they know? So think about that. Think about that. So as we're working through this, think about that. Okay. All right. So when we're putting this together to make sure that we're going to get the right person, think about what does your organization need, of course. But there's of course the list of duties. Yeah, that's great. The list of duties is important so you know what they're going to be doing and you're able to communicate that. But like think about, what does your organization need in terms of like a personality? Okay. Like, are you and in terms of this job role, because let's face it, somebody who has more of a marketing type mindset might be a little bit different than somebody who has an engineering type mindset, right? Just, I was speaking on averages, right? One's a little bit more of like kind of creative, but one's a little bit more like analytical, detail oriented, right? Not saying that those don't overlap sometimes, but they might in your organization, depending on what you need. Maybe you already have a great quality control program. Maybe you have people who have some great attention to detail, but you're looking for somebody who's like just crazy out there with the ideas, right? Like they're just gonna they're gonna come and throw in some creative ideas, and you know that maybe that kind of person typically isn't as detail oriented, but they've got great ideas. So maybe they can be part of a certain role in kind of the think tank, the strategies, strategy sessions, right? So think about the type of position and honestly what skills they need. Now in small business, I know that we're always looking for that that unicorn, like, well, I need somebody who can do everything. Okay, okay. Well, I'll challenge you with this kind of first is depending on how big your organization is. Think about what complements you. So what are your weaknesses? You got to be honest with yourself. What are your weaknesses? And start hiring to fill those weaknesses. Start hiring the people who, like, maybe if customer service, maybe if you're not quite as strong in customer service, maybe you need to hire somebody who's great on the phones, who can be kind of that first line. Okay. Maybe, I know, uh, I do have kind of a caveat on that. I know that sometimes people want to hire a salesperson, like right off the bat. And, and that's not necessarily always a bad thing. But if you can't If you don't know how to sell your stuff as a business owner, you're going to really struggle. So my little caveat is here is like, if you're a business owner, learn to sell decently first, and then make sure that you're in a position that you're going to be able to pay somebody, or make sure that you're in a position where you're going to be able to pay somebody really, really well, like a really good salesperson, some sort of good base plus commission. Because to find a really, really good salesperson, like, and be able to just pay them and say, hey, I need you to develop our sales process. I need you to develop. I mean, you're really looking for like somebody who's higher level, somebody who's probably been in a management position, who's going to build that team for you and all that stuff. So that's kind of my caveat is kind of be careful there. And feel free to reach out, of course, if you have some more questions or want some support there. But but make sure that you're looking to hire for your weaknesses. And so that personality, and then what skills or even maybe what aptitudes might they have? Like if they need to be more of an analytical thinker versus a creative thinker, or if they need to know a certain type of software, they might not necessarily know a software, but you might be able to get the specific software that you use. But if you can ask the right questions, or maybe do a couple of skills assessments that show that they can get around on a computer and click around and be pretty good, somebody who's more comfortable with that, that's still something to consider. All right, so great. You put it together, the job duties, and then who would you have do all that stuff? Well, what does that person look like? You create kind of an avatar for that, and of course, sometimes you need to think a little bit outside the box, but at least start getting an idea of who that person might be. What kind of communication skills do you need? What kind of collaboration skills do you need? Some of those things are a little bit harder to teach. Like, so sometimes you need to find people who are better at communication, better at teamwork and collaboration, and maybe even better at leadership to a degree than what you were previously thinking, and then you'll teach them the skills. Because I always look for that first. Like, are you going to be an awesome person to work with, who's going to have the aptitude to learn the skills? Because that's a lot easier to teach oftentimes. Uh, so think about that now. And then, what do they want out of life and work? Most people don't just want a paycheck. I hear that a lot working with folks. Well, what do they want? They want to get paid. Yeah, I mean, they want to be able to pay their bills, but what else do they want? Like, are you looking for somebody who's kind of got that personal growth mindset? And so, yeah, they might use, like, how would they use that money? Think about that. How would they use that money? Are they going to want to spend more time with their family? So they might want money, but like, if you really want to create a family oriented organization, then, you're probably going to have some flexibility in the schedule, some good maternity and paternity benefits, maybe. You're going to have some understanding if people need to get off work early because of a family thing that came up. So, if you really want to build that kind of organization, you're going to have to, think about that. What else would they use it for? Is it somebody who's going to use it? If they got the personal growth mindset, kind of going back to that, is, are they going to use it for education? If you were to ask them, like, okay, well, hey, what are some of your goals for the next 5 years? What do you want to do for yourself, or how do you invest in your personal growth? And they say things, oh, I'd like to get my master's, or I'd like to get another certification, or I'd like to take some classes. Those are some good indicators, right? So they might want, in this job description, they might want to know that they get either some compensation for additional classes or certification, or maybe some support and some education. Maybe even they get a certain amount of time, right? Like, you could put in there, like, that each week, it can be a certain amount of time each week can be used for advanced learning and that sort of thing. So, think about that, right? So who are they? What do they want? But then also, like, if you want somebody who's great at communication, collaboration, and teamwork, then you need to write a description, a job ad that says those things. It talks about how those are values in your organization. And even if it's something that you're working towards, you can say that you're building that. We are an organization who is continuously developing our collaboration and our teamwork and our employees, right? So even if that's like a goal that you're working towards, at least you can say it in there that's something that we're trying to do. That's something that we're trying to work towards. Okay, and you're making efforts into it. But most people, they don't just want a paycheck. They want, appreciation. They want personal growth. They want a sense of team, a sense of purpose. They they want whenever I'm helping my clients with interviews, it's really important to set the vision. Where's the company going? And then let the interviewee know, like, hey, we want to know what your vision is, because we want to see if, first of all, we can accommodate that. We can make that happen for you. See if it fits in with our overall vision, right? So I'll set the vision, and sometimes whenever it comes down to the job offer, because again, I'm getting a little bit more into the salesy stuff part of it, but when it comes to the job offer, you want to try to cater that offer to that person, because you know what, I've seen a lot of people hiring for a lot of positions, and they find great people and they think they send them a great offer that's not accepted. But when that person knows that you listened and then you reflected that, maybe there's something that they want to learn. And so you specifically said, hey, we're going to support you in that. Or, hey, you've got this particular set of skills and interest. Like, let's say they're interested in, technology and developing technology in your space, or the technical skills. Maybe some additional things in there that, that might be to have them kind of also, in terms of their job duties, be in charge of helping to put a technological system in, or a new tool or something like that. I mean, that can be very, very powerful for them, right? So you gotta reflect these things. It's got to be a marketing piece. Okay, so you know if you want people who want a great place to work, let them know what the internal reality is. Put it out there with great, like, social media, great marketing in those areas, and have that backing, right? Make sure you have that backing, because a job ad might do it on its own, but most people research. People are pretty good Googlers these days. And then make sure that when you have that job ad, you think through who. Well, first of all, what job duties, job roles, what kind of personality, what kind of skills or aptitudes do they need to have? Um, what kind of some soft skills or emotional intelligence skills are you looking for as well? And who would those people that would have that, and why would they want to work for you? Make sure that all of that is accounted for. If, of course, as always, if you need help, just you can shoot me an email at matt@timeforsuccess.io, and I'd be happy to walk you through this, personally as well, and have some resources. But please, 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 do yourself a favor. Realize that it's not hiring. It really is about recruiting. It really is about marketing. It really is about the two funnels of marketing: revenue and recruiting. So if you don't take anything else away from today, at least realize that there are two R's of marketing: revenue and recruiting. And both of those really need to be seen all throughout where you market. On your website, have a careers page, talk about, why it's a great place for them. And just like you would with a potential client, a potential customer, let them know what the benefits are and educate them on why you would be the best decision. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break here, and then we're going to come back into part two. We're going to be talking about reducing conflict between coworkers. Of course, this is a topic that we're going to come out with all different angles and different episodes, because there's a lot of ways to kind of approach this, but there's some basics that I hope that I can get across and help you understand in part 2. So Jason, can you go ahead and roll the sponsorship? Have you been suffering from chronic pain, disease, or sleep disorders? Did you know that 75 to 90% of disease is caused by inflammation in the body? The sad truth is, most doctors just treat symptoms rather than finding and fixing root causes of inflammation. If you want to fix your health problems, then finding and fixing the cause of the inflammation is a must. It's time to demand this for your health care and start living life to its fullest again. Book a discovery appointment with the Functional Health Team founder, Dr. Flory, to get your answers ASAP at www.functionalhealthteam.com. Hey, a quick shout out to Dr. Flory. He was on the show last week, and my wife came down with flu, possibly COVID. Although she did choose to get the vaccination, all that stuff, but she still got, I think, probably the Omicron, and so he gave us some things that really helped her. Because it's hard to get any sort of early treatments, and he gave us some things that really helped her. She was in a lot of pain, and Tylenol wasn't working for that, and just the neck, back, the inflammation, all that stuff, and some of the things that he gave us was just awesome. It really helped her out. So make sure functionalhealthteam.com. And he can do that. There's a lot of if you're dealing with these sort of chronic issues as well, because sure, the COVID's a thing right now, but if you're dealing with any sort of like chronic issues, a lot of that's caused by inflammation, and he really likes to dig in. He doesn't just oh well, here's a bunch of anti-inflammatories, right? That's something we're talking about here. It's about finding why that's happening, and a lot of medical offices that kind of treat the symptoms. A lot of times it's because of the hands are tied with insurance, but Dr. Flory will help you find the root cause and figure out how to fix it, so you can get that inflammation, the chronic disease, chronic pain, chronic issues out of your life and start living life to the fullest again, as we said. So I got to give that personal shout out, just something that was happening for us this week. So thanks, Dr. Flory, wherever you are. All right. So in the first half, we were talking about marketing for recruiting, and the 2 R's of marketing are, well, if you missed it, they are recruiting and revenue. Most people think about marketing as revenue, but it also can help with recruiting, which, little secret, that also helps out, in the long term with more revenue, because you can handle more capacity. But anyway, let's not split hairs here. All right. Now it's time for part 2. And we're going to talk about conflicts and how to try to avoid reduce those conflicts between coworkers in the first place. And of course, it starts off with having a good team. Well, maybe I'll take another step back. It actually starts off with developing your own leadership skills, okay, and developing your own emotional intelligence skills and your cultural intelligence skills. And all this kind of boils down into better understanding other people and what they need and how to support them in getting that. It's kind of like even Zig Ziglar says, and of course, I think he was talking about sales and whatnot, but honestly, like, leadership can be marketing and sales just the same, because it's all about empathy. It's all about understanding others and what they need, and being able to figure out a way to provide that to them, right? A lot of times we think that employees are just for us, right? We have employees because they need to do the things that we need them to do, and they need the paycheck. But everybody is their own individual. They have their own internal needs. So you need to develop your leadership skills, and then make sure that you have the right kind of people on your team that really jive well with the culture. You need to understand your own culture, your own values, your own vision, and make sure that you have people who align with all those things. So it kind of starts there. But it also starts with, so let's dig into what we mean by like this empathy aspect of it, okay, and really understanding how to get more of those right kind of people. So first of all, everybody lives in their own version of reality. Now bear with me. I know that there's there's a lot of this my truth that, my truth this, my truth that, and a lot of people kind of push back against that. And I'll be honest, whenever I started hearing, the my truth thing, I mean, kind of like, okay, there's it kind of threw me off for a second, right? But it is true. It is true that everybody lives in their own version of reality. And because of their life experiences, they perceive a situation or an experience or a stimulus differently than other people. You might have seen that illustration of like a cylinder, okay? And there's two lights on the cylinder, and so there's two shadows. Okay, so one shadow is a square if it's coming at from the side, and the other shadow is a circle because it's coming from, well, the side with the circle, right? So people are very, very similar because they're looking at it from different perspectives, even where they are in life or where they are in space, in time, and what they've learned to perceive. Because if you never really even experienced a cylinder, uh, you might not necessarily know, like you see that circle, you might not necessarily know that there might be something else there. You might be seeing just a shadow of things, right? So we basically learn our truths up to about age 7 in our lives. And bear with me, this is really, really, really important stuff. Okay. Because this is stuff that you need to take and help your team understand so they can understand each other better and understand how to better like meet each other kind of in the middle and work with each other. Okay. So this is important stuff. So bear with me. We basically learn our quote unquote truths. We learn how to interpret the world up to about age 7. And basically kind of from there, everything else is really kind of confirmation bias. Like we've actually got a system called the reticular activation system that looks to confirm the things that we look, that we believe. If you've ever bought a white car, right? Or you buy a car, okay? And then for some reason it seems like everybody else is driving the same car all of a sudden. That's kind of a part of that. So we develop our belief system early on. And that kind of leads to like different levels of consciousness. A conscious our conscious mind is kind of what we're aware of. Subconscious is kind of like maybe memories and associated that are just kind of like that are associated with what we're experiencing, but they're just kind of like below the surface. Maybe that we're not aware of. And then our unconscious is where those core beliefs are, like those truths, are filters for the world. I mean, that those start there. And it's oftentimes kind of where a lot of our feelings start off with. And the reason that this is so important is because so often, we think that we're communicating something clearly, and they don't get it. Or maybe we say that we think that we're pretty laid back and we're pretty calm when we say something, and we think that we say it in a constructive manner, but then boom, they get upset. It triggers something, and all of a sudden they go from like 0 to 100 in 0.0001 seconds. And you're like, whoa, what just happened? Like I was just trying to just say that, just give a little bit of constructive feedback here. Like I didn't, it wasn't that bad. Like I wasn't, I wasn't yelling at you. Like I just, whoa, whoa. So much conflict between your coworkers and your spouse, your kids, your friends, your family, anybody really comes because like it, you guys might even actually be having some similar thoughts about something, but unfortunately, because everybody looks at things a little bit differently, and different words might have like just different nuances of meaning, and then how they're put together might then radically change them, or because maybe they experienced something and because they were already kind of like dealing with something else, and then you said a certain word that was associated in their mind that triggered something else and just sent it all off. Because that's another part of how our mind works. It works in associations. So it could be words and concepts and experiences, objects, whatever we see, or certain sensory information. Those things are tied to certain meaning, and they're connected by associations. It's like basically kind of like superhighways. So that's why, like, if you experience something and it causes your heart to race, you're like, man, well, why is that? Well, maybe it's because you experience something negative or something that's causing anxiety, and I always say, like a dark parking lot. Some people walk into a dark parking lot, they know they need to be safe, no big deal. They look around, they're good. Some people walk into a dark parking lot, well, maybe they've had a really bad experience. Maybe they were attacked, maybe their car hijacked, maybe whatever, maybe they're assaulted, and so their heart races, they freak out, and I don't mean that in a demeaning way, of course, but they just can't handle it. So they have to have somebody who walks with them, or maybe they have somebody come pick them up. So that's kind of an example. So if we really want to better reduce conflict at work, we have to make sure that people have some sort of like mutual understanding. And if we're dealing with people who have like completely different, worldviews about situations, that can be really, really challenging. Um, Not saying that different people from different backgrounds is bad, but if you develop your cultural intelligence, it actually can be a really great strength, because then it can really some great diversity and some different perspectives. So the stronger that you get at this, and the stronger you build an organization that's really, really good at this, the healthier, excuse me, the healthier you'll be, in a lot of ways. So so if we can get really good at understanding what other people need, then we can build an organization that isn't just trying to manage things, isn't just trying to control things. Because we're most models right now are about control. It's about like that extrinsic motivation that we talked about with Judy Ryan from LifeWork Systems when she was on with us recently. So a lot of systems are based on control, and they're just trying to kind of force people into compliance, and you just need to do this because you get a paycheck. But the power of communication and empathy is that when you understand what really motivates people, and you understand how to find that common ground, and how to basically get, understand like their vision for what they want, and you can align that with your vision, it helps everybody to feel like they're going someplace together. It helps people feel like they have some purpose. And purpose is key to happiness, to really true deep happiness. People who struggle with some sort of purpose, they're far more likely to deal with some sort of depression, because they oftentimes feel like, what's the meaning, and well, why am I here? Or they might deal with a lot more of anxiety, because um, you know there's all these other things. There's a whole bunch of stimulation going on in the world, and it's hard to figure out what to focus on. So if they don't really have purpose, so helping your team to understand like their purpose just for themselves is a huge skill set, and as a leader, and then how that all aligns is key. And I know a lot of folks listen to this and they're like, well, I don't have time for that. I just need people to come in because they're getting a paycheck. Well, I'm sorry to say that really society is kind of moved on past that, at least as it states right now. I mean, maybe in the future it might shift back, but I have to ask you this: why would we want it to shift back? As an entrepreneur, you have some purpose, right? You built a company, and that has purpose for you. You might be clearer on what that purpose is than an average employee, but it helps you to have the late nights. It helps you to have the ability to push through when times are tough. And so much of your frustration with some of your team comes from, well, they're just not as motivated as me. Well, yeah, they might not be, because do they know their purpose? Right? And is your business part of their purpose? Maybe they are just there for a paycheck. I'll tell you what, though, people who are just there for a paycheck, they're just going to do enough to not get fired if they're just there for a paycheck. So you're already starting off with a disengaged employee. They are slightly disengaged because they're just going to do enough to not get fired so you get that paycheck. But if you have somebody who is on mission with you, first of all, I mean, they're going to have a lot more of that trust with you, and that trust aspect is key. They're gonna have a lot more trust because they feel like, you know what, I know that we're going to the same place. And yeah, he said something the wrong way, but I know that it wasn't meant that way, because I know that we've got this common vision. But a lot of times lack of trust is when it seems like, okay, well, are we on the same page here? Are we trying to go to the same place? One of the first things that I do in a high conflict situation is I try to realign back to that common vision. Hey, we both want to work well together, right? I mean, we want to have a good relationship, right? There's at least kind of some sort of common vision there of like, hey, I feel like we've kind of gotten off track because I feel like maybe I said something that upset you or something's going on, but I want us to be able to work together, and you want that too, right? So even that helps to bring back that trust, right? Getting back to that shared vision, and understanding if there's some sort of like unmet needs. Like, okay, so we both want to work together, and I said something like, did I did I do something, or did I not do something that you felt like you needed from me, and I just missed it? I misunderstood. And then making sure that the roles that they have, and the role that you have together is right. Like, okay, so okay, is there something that like that we're not doing to help support you, or do you feel like you want to be doing what you're doing? Should we each be doing a different part, or is this right? Trying to figure out like if there's a way to support them. As a leader, oftentimes I'll say, "Hey, look, it seems like we kind of got off right. I think that we both want to work together. Do you like working here, or is there something that we can do to make it better for you? Is there something wrong with the process? Did we not communicate clearly on that, or did we not document it well? Right? Did we were we inconsistent about that, or our expectations? So so getting back to that, like, is there something that we can do as an organization, a team, leadership, to be able to help that person as well? Because if you don't have good communication, I mean, it leads to that lack of trust. It leads to a mismatch in vision, and those unmet needs, and just confusion about roles and who's supposed to do what. It leads to performance inconsistencies, because a lot of times, like, people think that they're supposed to be doing something, but then and they think that they're doing a good job, but maybe they're not getting the positive feedback they feel like they should be getting. So there's a lot of people who, I think I'm doing the right thing, but I just nobody ever says thank you, or at least a good job, or at least a hey, yeah, that's exactly what I needed. you know. So many times we get so caught up in just, well, let's get it done, and oh yeah, he knows what he's supposed to do, and he did it. All right, let's keep moving, and then we only pay attention to the problems, and so it leads to this misunderstanding, and it leads to like, okay, well, the only time I can get any feedback is if something's wrong, so I can only learn what I'm not supposed to do. If you want employees to really understand and to appreciate what it is that you want them to do and what they should do, you have to build them up. You have to give them a high five. You have to say, yeah, that's exactly it. Great job. Thank you. Thank you. You have to teach your team to do that as well. So employees might be helping each other, right? Team members at the same level might be helping each other. But being a good leader will model these kind of things, and then you can coach people to this. All right, you gotta coach people to listen to each other, to make sure that they're clear about their needs, and to stop trying to like control. Like sometimes we use our emotions and being upset as almost a weapon to kind of put somebody on their back heels so that you can kind of control the situation. And so if we show anger and they get upset about that and say so sorry, sometimes people will use that because they don't have any other tools or resources. But when we go into this, when we're trying to support people and coach people in this, it's important to remember a very important concept in neuro-linguistic programming. It's a very important concept. Basically, everybody's doing the best they can with what they got, with the life experiences, the education, the emotional resources, the life situations that's happening, and all that. If we just go into it and say, okay, I'm gonna operate on the assumption that everybody's doing the best they can with what they got, and I'm gonna try to support people and make sure that the communication is strong. Make sure that I coach people in good communication, in strong collaboration. It starts off and makes it a lot easier to say, you know what, okay, there's some sort of misunderstanding here. There's something that someone of those they're looking at this and seeing something different than I am. Maybe if I ask the right questions, I can see, I see a square, they see a circle. And so, when I ask them to to put a nail in the four corners, right? They're like, "There's no what? What are you talking about?" Right? So, so that's key. And a lot of this boils down to the difference between the intention of a message, and the perception of the message. And if we don't do a check-in to make sure the intention and the perception are aligned, sometimes we get the responses that throw us off, that we don't understand. And there's a lot more in terms of coaching a team through this that of course we'll continue getting deeper into other episodes and with other guests. But this is so core. I love the book Everyone Communicates, Few Connect by John Maxwell, because it really starts with this principle. And honestly, these principles that are important for reducing conflict and improving understanding and collaboration and teamwork and all that. These are also principles for uh, customer service, sales, even marketing. Because so many times we think that just because we view something a certain way, that's how our customers, that's how our employees, that's how our vendors are all going to see it as well. So empathy, and learning, strengthening your skills in empathy, strengthening your ability to coach others in empathy is key. And so start there. Understand everybody does have their own truth. Seek to understand that. Seek to understand that common ground, and you're going to start seeing a lot less conflict. So thank you again for being with us. First half, we're talking about marketing for recruiting, the 2 R's of marketing: revenue and recruiting. And then second half, we talked about how conflict can start, how it can be avoided, and what to do when it happens. All right. Seek to understand. So thanks again. We appreciate you having on here. Of course, if you have any questions, you need us, you can go to timeforsuccess.io, which is our website. And then my email address is matt@timeforsuccess.io. Hope to see you again here next week. Thanks. Thank you for being with us today. But now is the time to put what we talked about into practice. Remember, your family, employees, and community are depending on you to rise up and win. The great news is you're not alone. You're part of a resurgence of entrepreneurs who are ready to take their business, life, and impact to the next level, and we're going to do it together. This show is powered by Time for Success, where we help business owners every day who want more freedom and wealth while building a legacy of positive impact. Please follow Time for Success on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube for more helpful strategies and tools for creating the business and life of your dreams.